as it is a story about how to move to a new country and build a business in 3 years.
We are working with everyone, from a private house where 4 cameras need to be installed to a production where we need to set up 100 cameras. But my strategy is based on setting up Starlink and activating the funnel. It's important to understand that a small client means quick money. At our peak, I had 42 installers and a nice office. Yes, there are clients on the web, many in fact. Every month we are investing money into Google Maps. We are trying to climb higher and higher on Google. My site is complete and I already pay for ads. Customers are coming in now. You must have insurance for your business. It's one of the fundamental aspects. AI, yes, which will fully manage. He will be giving reports, he will be taking calls, he will be sending emails. Yes, so this is an integrated agent in our business.
We will translate this interview using AI. Hi friends, welcome to the Pipl Systems YouTube channel, and we have a new episode, another Pipl Systems Podcast episode about business, specifically about security systems. We have Vitalii as our guest. Welcome.
Hello, Oleg.
Vitalii, you work with the security system in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Please tell me some introductory information about what you do and for how many years.
We deal with CCTV surveillance completely with a security system. These are turnkey access groups, everything related to the security system we handle. These are glass breakers, turnkey motion detectors. We take a project and make it turnkey in terms of the security system, except for fire.
Except for the fire alarm. Perhaps we should immediately add another such. The nuance how today's interview differs from the fact that from our previous ones, where we interviewed various installers, integrators, Vitalii has only been in Canada for 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
And this is precisely what will make our video interesting today, as it is a story about how to move to a new country and build a business in 3 years. I hope a successful business. We will be discussing both starting a business and its development. Regarding types of security systems, you mentioned video surveillance, security alarms, access control, and intercom systems. As I understand, also low voltage wiring.
We are setting up the internet, access points, doing it all, Wi-Fi. We also do cabling for offices.
Okay. How can one understand, for instance, the size of your company? For example, by the number of employees or the projects you undertake? Well, to understand.
The company we have is not big, it's quite small, and it consists of just 7 members in total. In the company, I am like the project manager, and my wife helps me a lot. She handles all the documentation and all the legal aspects, so everything is on her. Okay, we have someone who handles marketing. Yes, we have 4 installers who are also working with us.
4?
Yes, those who constantly work with us. Well, when we take on a large project, we bring in people from outside, for example. Because we can't manage to have more than 4 full-time employees at the moment.
But 4 installers, 4 technicians, full-time, that's already in principle not so small of a company. Of course, I understand that there are companies who have 30 or even 40 installers, but let's say for a company that has been in the market for 3 years and in principle 4, then you can already handle several projects simultaneously and take on good, fairly large volumes. If you are also focused on subcontracting, indeed, this means that you have the ability to engage certain installers.
I have been in Canada for 3 years, but my business has been active for only 2.5 years. Because we have 6 months, there was such a adaptation, that is, understanding this market, getting acquainted with how everything works and so on. In other words, we've been in the active phase for 2.5 years.
2.5 years. All right, we'll return to these questions shortly, specifically about what was happening, like those first steps. Could you first provide some information about who your primary client is? Do you work with everyone, including private, like with individuals, homeowners, small and medium businesses, or large companies? So, who is your ideal client?
At the current stage of our business development, we are working with everyone, from a private house where 4 cameras need to be installed, to a production where we need to set up 100 cameras. So currently we are working with everybody.
Right now, I'm smiling because we have this video, and I believe it has already been released on our channel, where we interviewed Jaden, the head of XLR, the distributor of Uniview. One of the questions I posed to him was, "What insight or thoughts would you like to share?" He simply replied, "I realized that after working for a few initial years, I came to the conclusion that it was a mistake to work with everyone. But this is about his interpretation for his business, where he only sells as a distributor. At the moment you are working, you are talking to everyone." That's why I smiled, remembering his words. Interestingly, by the way, that Jaden happens to be one of your suppliers?
Yes, he is a great supplier. I'm just really glad to work with Jaden. He is a great guy and really helpful.
Okay. I'll add now that if you haven't yet seen the interview with Jaden about the distribution of Uniview surveillance camera systems, check it out on our YouTube channel to understand what we're talking about. In principle, I've heard a lot from you. That's exactly what we were talking about too. We'll return to the issue of working with suppliers later. For now, let's focus on the clients. So, you are saying that you're currently working with everyone. And could you just share, for example, over the past year, what is your number of clients or revenue, that is, to understand the volume of your sales? And who do you think has made you more profit? Is it the homeowners, let's say, private clients, or is it bigger projects like businesses?
It will be difficult to answer here, but over the year, more than 100 clients have gone through our company, for whom we have done some small installations, medium and large.
100 clients is a lot.
Yes, I fully agree.
I speak from experience.
Yes.
Selling that much is a lot.
Even answering that amount of calls is also a lot. And we faced the situation where we were setting up, let's say, a small network, like installing Starlink. But my strategy is based on setting up Starlink and activating the funnel. In other words, I start offering the person to install access points throughout their house, in their cottage, and they receive the access points. Then I say, listen, you already have the internet. You're leaving, let's keep an eye on your house. And you're not always at the cottage. We're installing a security system online. So before us, he didn't have the opportunity to watch online. And Jaden has his own path, like recommending a book that changed your life. It can only change the life of one person. This doesn't mean it's a template for everyone, of course. So in my strategy of building a business, I focus on building personal relationships with the client, showcasing them on a smaller scale. I believe in God. And there is a principle that if you are faithful in little things, you will be in charge of many. So I apply this principle. All my major projects came not from any marketing. They came from some relationships where I did something small. A certain level of trust emerges your authority. And people start to trust you with bigger projects after you've done something well, small. Yes, we have more than 100 clients due to the large number of Starlinks and home cameras we've installed.
Okay, so for the viewers, to set up Starlink, you mean that you have connected to the internet, right? Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where it all begins, because gradually you start adding some systems. Then, as I understand it, the person might potentially be like the owner of some kind of business, or he influences decision-making in some kind of business, and he could involve you in larger projects.
Yes, so we have a good example. We are installing Starlink, and the person is very satisfied. He gave a generous tip, and the coolest tip he gave me was his business card. I saw that he was the owner of Canadian Tire on Wasaga Beach, and I saw the potential of a job being well done on a small scale. That is, our relationship has evolved further to a higher level. We had meetings with him. We are discussing the project with him to set up video surveillance in his store at Wasaga Beach. Yeah, that is basically how it works.
From something small. Good. But what if well, that's a nice suggestion and a good example, because very often, especially when companies launch advertisements, then they say, can I please advertise on some big, major, large projects right away so that people choose my business? I don't want to work with small clients. I want to work with big clients right away. You have a funnel, meaning the road to big clients goes through some small services, so to speak. Well, the opportunity to solve some small problems.
It's important to understand that a small client means quick money. Let's say we arrived here without having any significant resources that would allow us to. For example, a large contract would have a longer payment term. Suppose you completed the work and you get paid after 90 days. And you need to settle accounts with people. You see, all the operational aspects are quite costly. And these resources that we use from small objects, that is, we transfer from the small ones, they are sufficient to accomplish large tasks.
Great. Well, it's also interesting that you added this about quick money. And again, the side of companies that I see have never worked with large projects. They want to start working on large projects right away, but when they come across them, clients start talking about payment terms and some lengthy negotiations and long documentation processes. And they're like, no, why do we need all this? Everything was easy and simple before, we just want more money. And that's it, we don't want big projects.
Yes, large projects come with many difficulties that you don't have in little projects.
Okay, can you give an example, say, of one of your largest projects or the largest one so we can understand in terms of the number of cameras or what it was?
Well, the project we are proud of is the Coyote tractor manufacturing, and we installed 112 cameras there. We made 24 doors, access controls.
Access control.
And everything was done turnkey. But we sort of had some cameras, there were dual cameras, with several lenses. As a result, we got 199 images.
That is almost 200 images.
And there are no blind spots. And so we managed to achieve a very good result at the end. And according to the contract, we had agreed to complete this project in 3 months. We completed the project in a month. For instance, the company was really happy with the results since everything was done operatively. You know that if you are involved in a project for too long, it can wear you out.
Yes, definitely.
And we tried our best to be as convenient as possible for our kind of a valued client whom we appreciate. And we succeeded in doing so. It was well planned in advance. That is, when the installers arrived at the site, they had complete control over all the information, from start to finish. That is, we had a schedule and it was clear what needed to be done on the first day and on the last day. And every day I checked, for instance, whether we were on schedule or not, where we needed to tighten up, and where we were already on time. And thanks to Jaden, by the way, he delivered the equipment to us on time.
Was Jaden your supplier?
Yes, it's wonderful, because it was like I turned on a turbo mode. And they sent the equipment to us separately by plane to ensure we were on time. Yes, he did a really good job.
Awesome.
This video was created with sponsor support. GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, helps security brands appear inside AI systems like ChatGPT, Grok, and Gemini. We boost security brands with GEO by creating video and text content across global platforms. Get a free Geo audit today at GeoForSecurity.com. Be the brand AI recommends.
All right, let's conclude our talk about the big projects. What do you think? You've already mentioned it in this response. What are the nuances of working with a large project? Well, you're already with the supplier. So you should simply have, for very large projects, you will most likely need specialized cameras or possibly equipment that is not just regularly kept in stock like standard gear or common supplies. And perhaps they even transport it specifically for you from the countries where it is produced.
Yes, in my case, specifically for our project.
Equipment. Then you also talk about project management, project documentation. People knew everything about the site before they arrived. Due to what expertise is this possible? Because again, I know from interactions with various installers, especially, let's say, small ones, even those that have been on the market for decades, but simply, perhaps due to lack of experience, but they operate for, let's say, 32 cameras of such volume. And there, in principle, this documentation, the approach is clear. But when you face a larger project, you lack that experience. Where did you get this experience from? So, Vitalii, did you come to this on your own, or do you have such a strong team?
You know, I can't say for sure where it came from, because in Ukraine, my background in general, yes, it is connected to the business, but not to the security system.
So you came here, we just didn't talk about it, you arrived in Canada from Ukraine 3 years ago.
Yes, in Ukraine I had a wonderful company. We worked on plumbing and handled large projects. At our peak, I had 42 installers and a nice office. Staff. I have experience in business.
And the ability to manage big amounts of installers and workers.
I have a defined experience.
Installator.
And this is what you are passionate about, the project, what you love. And so I came here and I fell in love with it. When you're deeply involved in a project, you know, you wake up in the middle of the night. And so you see, this needs to be done. I have it. And it was specifically about this project in the middle of the night. Oh, we can do better here. You know, even when we were making the camera coverage map, that is, it was some kind of preparatory process. First here, this was a picture. You know which cameras we will use. This is communication with Jaden. This is communication also with experts in this field. You helped me in this regard, gave me the right contacts. So it was a lot of work, communication, hearing different things. You know, people thought very differently about this. I made it so that there was just one.
Let it go through
Yeah,
me.
let it go through me, and I went with the one I liked best.
Yes, I understand, because this was your biggest project yet. You hadn't done anything like this before. It's thrilling. Yes, it's great. Still, regarding this client, say this project, how were you able to get it? By that I mean, how did you find him? Or did he just come to you and said, hey Vitalii, we need your services to install 200 cameras in my business? Or was it some kind of funnel, as you say?
It's simple, this is what I mean. It's true for only a few of the established ones. It was just a call from the services. Their system went down and
they didn't know on some other project?
at their prior production. And I arrived because I reacted very promptly.
Did you come?
I went. I saw that the problem is pretty straightforward. And I said, okay, when do you need it? But it was already evening. He says, today. We need it today. I'll check. All my suppliers, well, they're all busy, right? I meant not busy, but they are closed. They aren't working. They don't work anymore.
In Canada, everything wraps up by 5.
Yes, and that's it. They don't care about your problems. I said, well, okay, I'll try to do something. I started calling, asking who could help me provide the equipment. And that same evening, I solved this problem for them. Because, in fact, it's very important for them that the place was under constant video surveillance, you know. So, and they liked this responsiveness. I became convenient. And when I completed this task, they saved my number on their phone as Vitalii Video Surveillance Security System. That's all. And then, probably a year later, I received a call saying, hey, we have a project. Would you like to participate in the tenders? That's it. It all started, you know, with a small service call. Super. I earned, roughly speaking, about $350.
Yes.
But I did it in such a way that they didn't feel any discomfort at all.
This is a cool example.
Yes.
It's about how, but there's a more complex question. How did that call occur? How would they find you, and where to make the call for service?
I have a site. I made the site and the Google Docs.
No way.
Yes.
Right now, I am mentioning addressing the audience of installers who don't believe there is demand on the internet and that there are clients on the internet.
Yes, there are clients on the web. Many, in fact.
You have a site and you mentioned Google Dots.
Yes, the Google points that we are enhancing. Every month we are investing money into Google Maps. Yes, on Google Maps and the site. We are trying to climb higher and higher on Google. And it seems like they phoned the first companies that were available there.
We have some output based on a certain search query.
They stated we would be there tomorrow. Because it's true that in the Canadian market it's difficult to get any service after
Yes.
5 or 6. And since we arrived, we are hungry.
You immigrated from Ukraine to Canada.
Yes, we have arrived in Canada and we are hungry because we need to secure some positions here. And we are ready to work for roughly 20 hours and sleeping 4 hours.
This is probably seen not only among Ukrainians, but also possibly others' cultures, but we are talking about immigrants,
Yes, we are referring to immigrants.
which arrive and they need to be ready now. At 30, at 40, and some even at 50 start everything from scratch. And that's why we're working to speed everything up.
To do everything.
Yes, to do everything.
Yes.
Nice. Accordingly, there is a website and there is a Google point on the Google map. You probably weren't the first in the lineup, but you were the first to answer the phone and say, yes, okay, I'm on my way.
Yes.
Great story. All right, we can come back to the moment of starting a business in the security industry, the start of installation. How did it happen for you? It's important here to consider both the documentation and tools as well as the team. Can you break it down into steps somehow? How did it all start?
It all began when I landed, having come with my family in tow. I needed something to live on, to provide for us, to pay Canadian rents, pay for everything. I flew in, and on the second day I started working. It so happened that I began working in this field, in the security system. And they paid me $170 a day.
170?
Yes, like the installers. I was studying. I mean, it was clear, right? I am studying. I can't have some higher price there. But when I started working with my hands, I saw the potential. I saw how it can be done well. So I saw this company, it's a wonderful company that gave me the job opportunity when I first came. It's also kind of one of the young companies. But I saw where I could improve here, how to lead. While working with my hands, I was envisioning in my mind how I would manage this, you know? This is the best spot to go in, how to automate the process. Yes, yes. And I started looking at which suppliers, what equipment we install and how it works. I started getting interested. I began watching videos on YouTube. You know, there's even your channel called Pipl, which was really cool. A resource where you can learn something about security systems and video surveillance. I've come across and watched your videos many times.
Before we met, right?
Yes. Yes. So I just started getting interested, saw the suppliers, and I understood the business model. And after some time of me working there, the person who hired me came to me and said, listen, we see that it's working out. You can buy the tools and we will pay you more. When will you have the tools? I say, wow, great motivation. I bought the tools, came back and said, here, I bought the tool and I would like to earn more now. They told me, well, for now, I won't be able to let you earn more for now. And I got this push on my back. Okay, fine, I need to do something. I need to act. And literally a few days passed when I opened the corporation here and launched the website. And so over there, I don't remember how long, maybe 3 weeks, they were building a website for me. I was still working at that company. And then the website goes live, it's ready. I launch the ads. I start paying for Google ads. And the employer saw my website and he said, I cannot pay you because you use that money for advertising. It's like, you know, there was a moment that struck a chord with him.
Was he Russian speaking?
Yes, he knows Russian, which upset him. Well, I understand the reason, of course. He has someone working for him who is promoting this competition, you know, because of these resources. and that's it. We kind of said our goodbyes. And now I have a complete business now. It's already legally registered. My site is complete, and I already pay for ads. Customers are coming in now.
From the internet?
Everything is online. It all began there, yes. And an advertisement came out that there is a 50% discount on Starlinks. We saw the potential to set up Starlink installations now, advertising. We are starting to push advertising. We were paying $250 a day for advertising at that time. We've been like that for months.
$5,000 a month. Well, if you count the working days.
Even more, but we were working 7 days a week, and we received over 30 calls a day. 30 plus, with the understanding that they called thinking we were Starlink. They are over there.
I get it. I know there are some nuances and tricks in advertising.
There were some nuances, but the installation of Starlink gave a strong boost. Because we started setting up Starlinks, and I immediately begin with people, just like I told you before, that it's my calling card, because we approached this. We wanted to do it with the utmost quality. It was cleaner after us than before us. When we arrived at the site, yes, we installed the Starlink, vacuumed, and wiped everything down with cloths. Everything was done correctly, and the person was satisfied. And there was an effect here. The client perceived me as if I had saved him, because he didn't have internet. As if I were Elon Musk, even though I'm just installing a dish. And because you became for him
A solution.
the fix for the problem. Yes, but you simply did it well. And this gave us such a strong boost to our company. I believe that this is it.
All right. And if the guys were watching us now, I think in the USA, in Canada, if we focus on North America, who's thinking of starting their business in security? Yes, in the industry? What would you advise? Should they follow your path? Is there a way, I don't know, to do it faster? Or maybe it needs to be faster? What would your advice be?
I don't like to pretend to be an expert, because that was my journey. And let's say, offering some advice, it might have only worked for me, yes. But from what I saw, is that if you did something wrong and paid for it with your cash,
Yep.
that's much better and more efficient than if you would just sit there and think. Preparing for something, yes. For example, I am running. How is it done? I don't know. I'll figure it out on the go. But the main thing is that your client didn't pay for it. Do you understand? If you paid for this experience with your temporary money, well, it's a turbo school, one that's on the go. There are people who prepare for a year, and then they come out. Yes, into the market, and they take small, tiny steps. But personally, for my character, for me, it's easier to pay now and understand how it works than to prepare for a long time and enter as if prepared, I don't know how to properly articulate my thoughts, but do not be afraid to make mistakes right now.
That is
in the new market, because here, after all, the market operates differently. Don't be afraid to make mistakes now. Don't be afraid to invest money in advertising now. Yes, in search of notifications, and just run, take everything. Small, but make it really cool, as if you're being paid $1 million. Make it so that the client he is there.
He would be happy.
Really happy. I have good relationships with my clients, even to the point of wishing someone a Merry Christmas or something else. That is, you are always in the clients, in their thoughts, just like always.
Well, I get it. You support the relationship.
Yeah, you support the relationship, but if I had to give an advice, it would be to start small, yeah. But you don't know who's in that small project. He can lead you to some very big projects because, for example, as a company, at the start we did not have any trust from the clients at all. Now we are getting recommendations. We are working with Trillium, the company there. Kyoto, they are giving us more projects, yes. Because we did something and became in the trust zone, so to speak. But all of this was brought about by tiny little projects here, which you can show like, this is what I can do, yes. Getting to know each other.
No, I understand your point, but if we were to wrap it up for those spectators, the reason I keep referring to these spectators is that we see through analytics, and we receive questions related to starting a business in the security industry of various types, not only concerning installations, but I understand that there is an audience interested in this, specifically in the discovery. And probably here's a piece of advice, if from you, if, as I understand it, then perhaps even take the risk if you already feel like you are ready for it and, well, probably find your own path without trying, without thinking that you will copy someone else's path and it will work out 100% for you.
You need to determine what you are stronger at than others. Well, you need to understand that everyone around you, they are not stupid. And you are not better, you just think differently.
Yes.
And if you underestimate your competitor, you will lose. Right now, it's just important to thoroughly analyze the market and understand how this ecosystem operates here. In other words, not to impose anything. You see, roughly speaking, when you make a sudden change, you realize that it's for the best.
This applies to... I notice when people move from one industry to another, and there, for example, they see that in the industry, somewhere in the mobile phone industry, for example, everything is already very advanced. Digital marketing, for instance, whereas in the security industry, it's less so. But there are explanations for all of this. But at the same time, the internet, as you said, is everywhere, and there are clients on the internet. And we demonstrate this with our own example. Through the development of our content on the Pipl Systems YouTube channel, we show that there is an audience that watches, even such highly specialized content, like the security system on YouTube. When we started a few years ago, in Canada, in America, in the USA, everyone said, "Why are you doing this? Because no one will watch it." There is no audience for this on YouTube. Everyone is only at offline conferences, at security system exhibitions, only there. The target audience of our industry is present. Right now, we see everything transitioning. Exhibitions are gradually closing. Only the main ones, perhaps only the largest, might still remain. However, people, focus and attention are shifting to the internet. More and more people are gathering information and making decisions online.
Of course, people value their time. They understand that, in the morning while having a cup of coffee, he wants to somehow resolve his issue. Yes, and he has half an hour and he starts searching for a solution to his problem online. And this is very...
Sure.
It helps a lot.
Then, if we consider the time of our viewers, let's try to include as much as we can in this podcast some more useful tips. Could you please share something from your side? As for the suppliers,
Yep.
we discussed how to attract clients, like how you started. Yes, I think again, the details vary depending on the province or state. Maybe I also forgot to ask you about licenses and certificates. Is there anything needed in this region where you are now, in Toronto, Ontario? Are there any nuances here?
They don't have a license for low voltage systems.
On low voltage?
Yes, on low voltage, but a license and a permit for working at heights are mandatory. If you are moving into commercial projects, for example, WSIV is mandatory there, which is insurance. In addition to WSIV, you also need insurance. For example, in my case, it's for 5 million. We got insurance. Insurance is very necessary, and without it, no one will talk to you. It's a base. At the start of negotiations, you show that we are covered and have everything.
Does this demonstrate your professionalism as a business?
Sure. In other words, insurance protects the client. For instance, if you work in a production facility where they have, let's say, a warehouse with valuable goods and you accidentally damage something, it's important to have insurance. Okay, in Canada, it's not just in Ontario, it's everywhere. You must have insurance for your business. It's one of the fundamental aspects. And always try to manage accounts properly, especially taxes, because here it is very strict. It's important to conduct properly bank transactions because you need to use credit. This is very important. I just recommend everyone to immediately use a credit card. Corporate, because your credit limit is increasing. At first, I did not use it. I was using my personal credit card. But later, when we started working on larger projects, these credit limits, they're just as valuable as gold for big projects. If you already have a credit limit of $50,000, it makes purchasing materials so much easier for you. And so on. These are the moments that you should ideally not miss.
Okay, but it's important to return to the question about suppliers. So, how do you choose a supplier? What nuances, especially when selecting a supplier and working with them, would you pay attention to?
I notice how long they take and how professional they are when responding to my requests. And let's say you can send to just even to open an account, and you can wait for even as I recall, you remember how I complained to you about how difficult it was because I waited 2 to 3 months just to open an account. You know, I was potentially buying.
And it's just to say, I have money and I would like to buy the equipment from you.
Yes.
Please take my money for your equipment.
Please.
Yes.
And preferably at a good price. However, there is a difficulty. If it's a large supplier, you might encounter the issue that it will take longer and be less convenient. It's way easier for me to work with smaller suppliers, distributors who will respond quickly. Let's say, like even with my latest project, I understand how unprofessionally it is structured. You know, it kind of bothered me because we were setting up the access group and I bought fobs for the readers. I arrive and they don't fit. I went to the supplier and said, I have this kind of system. Yes, these readers, can I get fobs for them? They gave them to me. I'm on my way. The client is waiting. I arrive. The client looks and it doesn't work for him. What happened? Did you understand? Twice I had to return it. What did I do? I just called the person and said, it hasn't worked for me twice. Can you give me the model of fobs that are specifically compatible with these readers? He says, all right. He sends me a photo of the fobs that I need. I went to the supplier with the photo to the same supplier from whom I bought these same readers. Can I have these fobs? They're like, oh, these? Okay.
So you called the manufacturer directly?
No, I reached out to the person who handles this matter.
Oh, I get it now.
He is more professional.
Did you get it from the expert?
Yes.
Some suppliers simply do not understand the technical details of what they are selling.
They do not understand what they are selling.
This is probably, we are talking more about large suppliers who have a lot of brands, right?
Yes. But it doesn't excuse.
Sure. There's a cool example here that you told me about. You talked about that it's better for you to work with a smaller supplier who is focused on their products. They are focused on providing service to you. And probably there are also clients you work with and they choose you because you are a smaller contractor, a smaller company, and there aren't hundreds of installers working in one company. Because he knows that you are smaller, you are faster, you will be more involved, you will always be in touch. In an hour you can come yourself to fix the problem, or you could send a person that is able to fix the problem.
But I will also work on ensuring that as we grow, we don't lose our efficiency. Do you get what I mean? Because
Size always affects speed.
In our case, we will accelerate this entire large mechanism. And it's clear how. Let's say I have some kind of algorithm in my head to not lose this value. On Friday, we received a request. An AI company, they wanted to get network access points installed. On Friday, we respond and answer how much it will cost. To cost. They were already surprised that we responded promptly to the email.
Friday?
And just so you know, on Friday we already agreed on the price with them and issued them an invoice. They paid. We only want a credit card. Okay, here's the solution. Here's the credit card. We accept the payment.
Also,
on Monday we receive the prepayment. They have it today. We say, tomorrow at 9 a.m. you will have people arriving. You can meet them. They ask, tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow. Okay. In other words, we want to strive for efficiency and convenience. We don't want to become a burden. We want to come, do a good job, and leave. Do you understand?
so it turns out that a formula for the successful development of the system is emerging here, a company in the security system sector. Through starting from a small company, dynamically, very quickly, to grow and enhance while still keeping the speed and quality of work.
Yes, we spoke of suppliers. I had this issue with a major supplier. I also called our friend Jaden and I said, Jaden, I need this equipment. Okay, stop by us. I showed up and he even took me into account. He says, hey, we can do this part better. Let's improve it together.
Optimize, right?
Yeah, and so he specializes in a narrow field, right? But he does it excellently. Does it at 102%.
And just last week I was talking to an employee of a large security systems integration company where he mentioned that within their company, previously the project start limit was from $18,000, but now it's changing to almost $30,000, where they only take on projects of this size. In other words, they don't take on smaller projects. Additionally, there is an immediate specific. You have to stand in line and wait for so many weeks until they start working with you. In other words, I think that precisely because there is such a presence in the market with large companies in such conditions, there are great opportunities for, let's say, new companies, maybe smaller in size, thanks to speed and service, to show customers that, look, what an alternative there is. There is such a thing, but that's why I wish you that with the increase, the number of your clients and the growth of your companies, so that you maintain these qualities. Because perhaps it's natural, everyone starts small, everyone begins to grow, everyone. Keep this thought in mind. I want to remain awesome for my clients always. But as things progress, it all fades away. So I still wish for you that you shattered the myth and you were great, while also being fast and of high quality.
Yes, we will work on this, keeping our focus, because time is the most valuable thing right now. And this promptness, we will try our best to keep it.
The next question is about regarding or trends or what you see as important now in the security industry, what needs to be perhaps pay attention, maybe to certain categories of products that are better to promote, establish and sell. It's beneficial both for business and for our customers, or any such things that are worth paying attention to.
One should pay attention to determine their favorites based on the brand, for instance, the one you understand, because each brand has its own logic. And let's say you might not be able to become an expert, or maybe you will, perhaps you'll have it divided among the team. But when you work with a single brand, you study it, and all the trends that come and go, you're always in the loop, you can work with it. In other words, you become a pro and it helps you get the job done very quickly. Not to study, you introduced a new brand and they have their Okay, you need to buy a license. You also need to do this, and it grows from something simple into something so complex that you're no longer happy doing it. But when you work with just one, let's say, there's an ICT access group. Yes, I like ICT. It's wonderful. There, the BAS IP is good for intercoms. Uniview are good cameras. In this, if you keep, focus, you study them well, then projects will be completed very easily for you. Yes, and you will be an expert when it comes to service calls, even in the case of initial setups. It is very important to choose a favorite brand for yourself. And yeah.
But then we were filming an interview with Vincent, the head of a security installation company in Montreal, Secure Plus company. I remember he said that he had, for each category, such as video surveillance and access control, he has 2 brands, only 2. Economy and premium. That is, when there is, I don't know, he relies either on the budget or on the requirements. That is, so it is. For every decision he has 2 options there, but no more, no less. On which? Do you have a similar story, or are you trying to focus on?
No, I have a similar story. Yes, we work with Ubiquiti and we like it a lot. Yes, we also like Uniview. We like it. Here are the ones I'm talking about, the BAS IP for the intercom. We understand. And of course, if the client, he has some kind of specialist, well, if he wants it, of course, we install it for him.
Well, he may be, since he has some of the project finished?
Yes, because we are enhancing a system, we won't change everything for him. Yes, well, most often we use these brands, yes, and try to keep our focus on them.
Okay, if we quickly summarize this, our conversation, what, maybe you, I don't know, then you see, I have an important question for me. I'm curious about what prospects you see for your company because, well, I already basically, it's all starting to take shape out of this conversation. Yes, I see where you're heading, but still, do you somehow formulate for yourself such a goal for your company in 5 to 10 years? And overall, how do you see this industry here in North America? How will it change? And do you think will it change at all?
I think that, again, I'm not an expert there to make predictions, but what I would like to happen, if I may say so, is to simplify everything. That's it. Plug and play, yes. I think everything will eventually lead to AI self-organizing. Roughly speaking, sometimes you set up a system and there's constantly some glitch, always, something in the settings, and you're just there.
Some of the tech-related details.
Somewhere you didn't check a box, so you're not online, and you need to spend a few hours just because you missed it somewhere. That moment, And I think that people will start to value or already value their time so much that they will look for ways to speed up the process. And simplify, I would even say not speed up, but simplify, because when it is simplified, it speeds up, yes. I think that you need to switch to plug and play. Someone is going to criticize me now, saying it's not safe. But it can be done safely, okay? Plug and play, let AI handle the settings, the static IP, and so on, let it do all that. It is now available. AI is evolving, and those who do not collaborate with it now will be far behind. And the responsiveness, as a supplier, he couldn't answer me, but if there was an AI trained on their products, it would have immediately given me the correct fobs.
You can even just send him some photos of this reader, and it will send you.
Even without a human. So we need to stay in sync with the development, and here, in security systems, it is directly linked to artificial intelligence already, right? The next step is simply how it will be applied, how they will use it, and if they start caring not only about the client, but also about the person who installs it. I am the company installer. I have a feeling that they didn't care about me, because They do not care at all on how easy or difficult it is to install or how difficult it is to program it. Why? I think their next step would be that they'll do is optimize for us so that we can happily say, this is a great brand, right? We want to get it because they care about us too, right? Here. And about the development of my personal company, I will also, I thought, what's next? And I asked myself just one question. I even didn't deal with many. I haven't wrote 100 questions. And, I had just one question, that if I want to sell my company, is it ready for sale? Will I be able to sell it? No, I won't be able to sell it. I started analyzing my product, my actions that I have done, and I understood that nobody would want to buy it from me. Because all the clients will leave with me, yes, because these are my personal relationships. Yes, there's the website. Well, what can I say?
Let's say in the security systems industry in America, the value of a company like yours is most often found in the accounts that you service through monitoring.
Yeah, we do not have monitoring yet.
So, well, you just happen to be the one whose service we didn't touch upon. You don't provide monitoring. This is essentially the only thing that can be materially calculated and sold to a large major company that will continue to service them. In general, I agree that this is often the case, and in reality, it's a kind of drama for a company that's been around for 30, 40 years. And this is one of those questions we discussed with previous speakers with whom we recorded podcasts, where there was such an idea for a theme. What a company should do in 30, 40 years when you're running it, when you're developing it, because selling it at the price you would like, yes, and feeling its potential, you cannot. And what should be done with this company? Sell it, give it to the children who might not want to deal with it? These are big, big questions. But you, as I understand, see with the help of AI as a tool for automation, systematization of certain...
Yes, we are already working on having a business administrator. AI, yes, which will fully manage. He will be giving reports, he will be taking calls, he will be sending emails, yes. So this is an integrated agent in our business. That is, we want to create a good tool which could potentially be sold along with the business, yes. And also with AI, it will be able to do monitoring. We can do, for example, if you're just starting a security system now and you have only one client for monitoring at your company, what will you do? You're not going to sit there all the time monitoring, watching, and so on, right? It's very energy intensive. You won't assign a separate person for this. You can hire someone when you already have 100 clients who will oversee this and monitor everything. The world will move towards AI doing this, and it can handle billions upon billions of different situations in 1 minute. Yes.
Exactly, that's the perspective. Yes, and I see Sense Group.
In, say, 5 years, it will be operationally work with AI. By that I mean that it will be able to work with clients, and I will simply, see several options on my phone of estimates that need to be sent to the client, and several options of emails, which, I'll be seeing requests that are already prepared and processed. I won't be wasting my resources, my time on some, because 10 calls, 9 are empty, and 1 is important. Yes, here it is. It's like a separator.
I get it. Like a filter, an AI filter.
I filter.
And you mentioned, okay, that's your vision, but you said you are making this AI yourself.
Yes, that is to say, we are fully investing in this constructor of ours right now. Sense Group, yes. At this moment, we are gathering the funds that we earn, and we are all putting that money into investments.
Here. What do you call him? AI assistant?
Assist Mind. We called it Assist Mind AI. That is, it will be a very convenient tool that will ease the burden on managers, because at the beginning, when I started, due to the fact that I had a problem with the English language, it is still present, but not to the same extent. It was very difficult for me to talk to clients on the phone, very much so. And I made the decision that there should be someone responsible. And we hired a wonderful girl. She spoke English even better than, a Canadian, but she also spoke Russian. And it was so convenient for us to work with her. When I read the reviews, they say, thank you for this person. In other words, she performed excellently. But at a certain point, I realized that she had outgrown it, yes, and she decided to move on. Yes, that's it. And AI will never do that.
AI, you can update the firmware.
AI, you can.
Make an update.
Yes, he is always in a good mood. He will be processing. Yes, there will be mistakes at first, I'm sure. But we can train it. That is every year. Upgrading.
When is the release of your AI assistant planned?
After all the testing, I think October of this year.
October of this year. In a month or two, to put it simply.
Yes.
1 to 2 months. Well, I wish you a successful presentation and release of your AI assistant. I believe that if you accomplish this task, you will also share it with other people.
Absolutely.
With this decision? Yes. So, to sum up your vision about your company and the market in general, it is AI will help,
Yes.
making things better, easier, faster, and in a way of higher quality. This market.
And it's easier.
And it's easier.
Yes.
Listen, I think for the first episode with you, we've covered a lot of topics. We didn't delve very deeply or in great detail into certain topics. Therefore, we will wait for comments from our viewers, and then I'll ask you to respond to them in text format if they come through as private messages. And perhaps after some time, we might even prepare a second series, possibly after the release of your solution. And once you've tested it out, you'll tell us how it helps you improve your company, perhaps precisely with the help of such tools. Even small companies will grow faster while maintaining speed and quality.
We reached an audience that came here, immigrants. Yes. And they have a language barrier. Yes, he really breaks down that barrier. He professionally hears all the Canadian accents.
Yes.
Because here, you know the accents, of course. We know this very well.
And right now, I think the viewers, since we're recording this interview in Russian, which is my primary language, your primary language, and we decided to record this interview in it, where it's easier for us to express our feelings and emotions. And we will translate this interview using AI. AI is precisely infused in this video.
He is even here.
He is here too. Vitalii, thank you for your time.
Thanks.